Hey guys, in this video, we're going to review over some of the angles that we already know in circles, and we're going to learn about a couple more. The first one that we've already learned is the central angle. We call it the central angle because it has its vertex on the center. And what we learned about a central angle is that this angle has the same measure as its intercepted arc. So the angle and the arc were equal to each other with a central angle. And remember, that's the one that has a vertex on the center. The inscribed angle was the next angle that we learned about, and it's a little bit different. Its vertex is not on the center, it's actually on the circle. So this could be an example of an inscribed angle. And with an inscribed angle, we learn that that angle is not equal to the arc. It's equal to the arc divided by 2. So if I had an 80-degree arc, then that central angle would be half, 40 degrees. So those are the two old ones that we learned, and today we're going to learn about two new ones. The first one over here, example number 3, I don't think this is the real name, but I call it an innie, like a belly button. This is an innie angle. It's formed by two intersecting chords. So those two chords intersect, and that's not at the center like a central angle, but it's also not on the circle like an inscribed angle. It's somewhere in the circle. So I call it an innie. And the angle on an innie angle is going to be cool to find here because it's not equal to one of the arcs, because you have two different arcs that are formed by those chords. To find that angle, you're going to take those two arcs and you're going to take the average of those. So if I wanted to find this innie x here, it would be found by taking the average of those two arcs. So to find the average of something, you add them together and then divide it by the amount that there were. And because there's two arcs that were formed by those chords, we'll take the arc plus the arc and divide it by 2. And that's always how you do an innie. So just a quick example. If I had that angle and the two arcs I know are, let's go with 100 degrees for that arc, and let's say that this one is 20 degrees, then to find the measure of that angle, the measure of that angle will be equal to the arc plus the other arc divided by 2. So that's 120 divided by 2. So that's going to be a 60-degree arc. Alrighty, so we saw a central angle, we saw an inscribed angle, we saw an innie, and now we'll see what I like to call an outie. With an outie, the vertex is going to be outside the circle. So here's an example of an angle that's outside the circle. Vertex outside, we call it an outie. Alright, so there's an example of an outie, and again, just like the innie, you're going to notice that two arcs were formed. A 1, a 2. So the difference between the innie and the outie, with the innie we added the two arcs together to find the angle. With the outie, we're going to subtract the two arcs. So we'll take the big arc and we'll subtract the little one and we'll divide it by 2. So that's one example of an outie where I have two secant lines. Another example could look something like, maybe I have one secant and one tangent. It's still an outie, and I still have two chords. Or sorry, two arcs, my bad. I still have an arc down here and an arc out here that's formed by that angle. Now you're going to be like, what about this guy? Yeah, there's another arc here, but he didn't get used. We don't care about that arc. Okay? So sometimes maybe that green arc could help you find one of your red arcs and then help you find the angle, but otherwise we don't care about that piece. And lastly, maybe I have two tangents. Oops. Let's try that again. So another example of an outie, and I do have this arc right here and this arc over here. So I still have two arcs. All right, so there's an overview of all of the angles that we're going to see in this chapter. I suggest having this sheet as like a little cheat sheet, so you have something that you can refer back to. So next I'm going to work through a couple examples of innies and outies, and you guys can get some practice on that. All right, see ya.